of the field is not valid, so there is no point of enabling the button. If it is enable the button, so definitely the user is going to submit the form, right? I want to disable this button also. Whenever an error comes, I want to disable the button. So inside this if block, I will try to disable the button. Okay, so I have made a selection for the button. Okay, now I'll use C add button dot, it should be disabled. Disabled, disabled is equal to true. Basically it's going to disable the button. Okay, and also immediately if the user input field is not valid, I'm trying to stop executing this function. Furthermore, I will try to return a false value. I will stop executing this function because since so there is no more execution. I'm not at all interested in to execute the remaining code because the field is itself is the field itself is wrong. So it contains an invalid empty field. Okay, I am trying to stop this function execution. Okay, so these are the three operations I'm doing here inside this if block. Understood? I have created a function, I have attached to the event, and I have written a condition. If the user input field is length is 0, means user is not providing any input. So first I will throw this error message under this input field. Okay, next I am disabling this button as well as, and I am stop executing this function and come out of this loop. So where I am calling the function, I will return false value and I will come out of the function. Understood? So these are the three operations. Next. Yeah.
So a quick question.
Yeah.
When we're looking at the form, right? The form data. So this the form is saying essentially that the form is essentially saying that the form is essentially saying what exactly? Like, is it saying that I'm going to populate all the requirements with font awesome, right?
Yes.
So like name is required,
Yes.
like, but you have to do so much coding for just one error, right? For one error message.
Yeah. So the thing is like, see guys, since we are learning, it's a learning phase, so I am trying to using a vanilla JavaScript, the pure JavaScript. I'm not at all depend on any libraries. See guys, when it comes to forms, when you guys enroll for React, right? So there you will see an external library called Redux Forms. Okay, so everything will be ready, almost 100% ready. So you will get that. So you'll just select the input field and what is the error message. That's it. No need to do selections, no need to do DOM manipulations, nothing will happen. Everything will be taken care by the library itself only. Okay, so that will speed up your coding. But since we are learning today, since we are learners, so first I want to know how the form will execute, right? So these code will be molded inside a library already. Okay, even in the React, while learning the React, you will see these things. When you guys enroll for Angular, in Angular we have two types of forms called template-driven forms and reactive forms. So there also, I am not at all touch these ones. So everything will be taken care of by the library itself only. So there you need to only provide what is the error message you want to throw, and when does it throws the errors on this length is equal to 0. What is the error message? That's it. No need to write off this much of code. Understood?
Oh, got
Tejas.
it.
Understood,
Got it.
Tejas?
And then but what we're learning here.
Yes.
We're learning is thank you, sir.
Yes.
So what we're learning is the core essentials of
Yes.
core essentials of what an error would be on a form, what an error would look like on a form,
Exactly.
and how to code that error and why
Exactly.
to have that.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay,
Got it.
see,
Thank you, sir.
don't worry. So don't expect, okay, this much of code we wanted. Don't think like this one. Since we are learners, okay, we should know each and everything, how it is in the website, web application works, right? So that's the reason. But when it comes to real-time development, so everything will be dead easy. Within one line of code, we will do all these things. Okay, again, so whatever the core task I have given you, right? So you'll see the functional programming. So I will use advanced array methods. With only one line of code, I will achieve everything. Only in one line of code. Okay, you'll see the
Wow.
magic of the method chaining there. Okay, in advanced JavaScript, I will explain. So this is completely pure basics JavaScript. Okay, so
Yes,
don't
sir.
worry. So if you are using libraries, so earlier days we were using jQuery. It's one of the library there also. So basically what does library contains? See, for pretty much common operation, the same behaviors. So we have some set of codes, we will import it and we can put also what is the id, what is the event triggers, so what is the code we want to execute. That's it. These three things will be, it will expect remaining thing will be already been ready, so it will execute those code. So it will make your development more quicker. But here as a learner, so don't worry. So as a learner, we are learning from everything our own. Okay, I'm not at all using any libraries here. It's a pure vanilla JavaScript. We call it vanilla JavaScript. Okay, so yes, of course I've written a function, I've set a value, I've written an condition. Okay, so next. Okay, so if these things happens, so I will so if the length is greater than 0, means on the time if block doesn't execute because this condition is false, right? This code is not at all executed. So means whenever user provides a valid data, so then what else I want to do on the time? See, observe, on the time what I want to do. So I want to replace that name error with an this class name. What is that class name? See this font or some class name. This is a class name. Okay, so I will keep it inside and double quotes. Okay, so I will replace that error message with a font or some icon. Next, the button should be enabled. Add button should be enabled. Disabled. Add button. The disabled should be false now. So since the disabled should be false, so it will going to enable the button, right? Next, I should return true. Where I'm calling the function, there I will return a boolean value called true. Understood? So if the condition is false, so means if the user is providing a valid data, this is the things should be happen. If the user is providing invalid data, this is the thing is happening. Understood? Understood. So let's save it. Okay. Now I am going to add a final submit. Okay, so since I'm doing a validation for the only in one input field, say observe const. First I'll select the form. Since I'm only using since I have only one form, so I will directly using a query select. So form is equal to document dot query selector form. Basically I'm directly setting the form input field. Okay, so basically I'm directly setting the form input field. Now I'll add I'm going to attach an event form dot add event listener. Now tell me, so whenever I submit the form, how do you come to know all these things? So there's a one specific event for form. I told you while explaining the events, other types of events. So that is called a submit event, right? So submit event is only works inside the form. Okay, so whenever you click on the submit button, okay, any button, type submit. Okay, so on the time, so this submit event is going to trigger on the time. So I have an callback function that will call the whenever I try to submit the form. So this function will going to call. I will use event object. Okay, first I will, the very first thing is called event dot prevent default. Why do you use a prevent default? First I want to stop submitting the default behavior of the form. Okay, otherwise without validating I'm directly submitting the form. Now I will use a if block. Okay. So since I'm using only one function, validate name. So if the, see, observe. So if the form is invalid, so this function will return false. Where I'm calling the function, I'm also calling here, and the same function I'm also calling here. In the two places, I'm calling the same function. Validate name. I'm calling inside this if block. So it will return. So if the function is valid, means if the user is providing a valid data, it will return a true for this if block. Okay, if the user is providing for a invalid data, so it will return false inside this if block. So if I'm getting a falsy value, so on the time I want to execute this if block. This if block needs to be executed whenever I get a false value from this function, validate function. On the time, since if block is only executed when the condition is true. See, since I will receiving as a false, I want to make it a true. Now tell me how to make it a true. Yes, we were using negation. Okay. So if the user is not providing a valid data, it provide a false, so it will exit, it will throw false here. So since I'm getting a false, I have a negation, it will make it a true, and it will, the if block will execute whenever user is not providing a valid data. If the user is providing a valid data, it will throw true. Okay, at where I'm calling the function, in this place also I'm calling the function. So since I'm receiving true, so I have a negation, it will make it to false on. So if the user is providing a valid data, on the time this if block doesn't execute. Understood? This if block doesn't execute. So whenever is user is providing invalid data, I will stop executing this function. Okay, or return false again here. Okay, so these are the things I have done here. So for only one input field, I am done. Actually I have done for these things. Okay, let's see these things. Okay, now I am, let's save it. So without providing input field, I have clicked on the submit. See, so it will immediately execute the if block. So it will immediately execute this if block. So once if execute this if block, so I'm calling the validate name. So it will check the name input field is empty since I'm not providing. So it will throw an error here. It will throw an error. So name is required. Understood? Next, it will immediately disable. See, this button is disabled now. This button doesn't work. I'm disabling the button here and returning the false where I'm calling the function. Since I'm returning the false, so it will also stop executing this one. Now I'm start providing. See, whenever I start providing, so this event fires for every keystroke. On the time also, it will calls this function, the validate the same function. Okay, on the time this error will be gone. See, observe. It's not working. Validate name value, right? Okay, it should throw the green button.
The negation we have
Something is
negation. The negation is false will become true.
whenever I submit. Okay, I have some errors. I'll check the errors. Const variable, assignment to const variable at HTML. Okay, this is the error. That's the reason it's not providing. Uncount const variable, assignment to const variable. Let Got typewriter line number 31. Line number 31. Okay, name error, right? Okay, I'm reasoning two times. Okay, this should be const, no issue. But these things should be let only always. The first things. But it's not working as I intended. Still throwing errors. So name value length should be 0. Name is required and button disabled. So return false. So name error dot inner HTML is the issue. Name error dot inner HTML, not name error. So this is the issue. Next. So this could be const, no issue. Again, this can be also const, no issue. So this is the small mistake. Okay. See, whenever try to provide, so you'll get the font awesome icon because the data is valid. Still, I'm not done with this. So of course, full name contains first name and last name. Okay, so I will do that type of. So I will also do these things using regex. So tomorrow we will discuss about regex. For today, so we are only doing a validating function for. So only user is providing an empty field or not. Okay, I'm doing validate for only input field. For doing this first name, last name, and wherever contains, and is providing only the character. See, the name doesn't contains numbers. So all these things I will explain using regex. That's an industry standard. Okay. So for the time being, so we are using just checking only two things: is user is not providing empty field, and the user is providing an a valid. See, whenever I remove this one, it will throw and name is required error. So immediately the button is going to be disabled. Understood? Whenever start providing a valid data, so it will remove that error message and will just try to enable the button. Understood? Any doubts here?
The button is for font or something.
Yeah, this icon is coming from font awesome. So this is the thing. You see, I'm directly adding this icon. So this icon, since I'm using an font awesome CDN link, so it will download it from the server. Okay, it will. So where I'm using this one, it will add it this one, icons. I think in HTML they should have taught all these things.
Font or something.
Okay. Okay, fine.
What if we done the normal form, like we're only using a
Yes, you can do this thing, no issue. But I'm trying to work like in some industry standards. Okay, we were using this industry standards. Okay, so I'm just explaining these things.
This doesn't come on Bootstrap icons.
Bootstrap is a CSS library. Okay, there. So we have some definite designs and widths. So some default paddings. So there we no need to write all this from scratch. So padding is equal to 20 pixels top and bottom, left and right. No need to do all these things. Okay. So we can directly using p-1 class. We will directly import it, that CDN links, or you can download it in locally. So you can use it. So you can directly, it will apply the some predefined styles. But when it comes to here, so we have some external content. So in order to make our website visually rich, okay, we will using some contents, external contents. Okay, so when you guys are trying to work with a real time, you will know this importance of this external content. 95% we were using external things. Okay, based on our project. See, every website is unique, right? So we were using a different external things. So this CDN is also one of the external thing. Okay, it's not a part of the scope also. All these things, HTML, CSS. Okay, so I've done a validation for function. So the task for you is you have to do the same validation for. So you can use the same same form. Okay, so till here you can do your own validation. You can do your own validation for all the remaining fields. Can you do these things? Since I've made a selection for all the input fields, okay, you have to do the you have to write the validation function for all the input fields. It's a task for you.
Okay, sir.
Okay, that's a task for you. I've written for only one, so remaining is up to you. Next, one more important thing you might observe. So whenever you guys touch this field, whenever you leaves, on the time also we have to throw error, right? See, whenever your form loads in the first place, I don't throw any errors. But user touches this field and leaves without providing any valid data, on the time also we have to throw this. You see this behavior in real web applications, right? In somewhere. So touch it and leave it. So on the time also we want to validate. So for that one, I will add another event. So name value dot add event listener. So what is the event? So when I touch and leaves, what is the event triggers?
Over.
Blur. Hover means whenever hover on this, whenever hover this mouse over on this input field. So this is a focus. This event is called focus. Whenever click on this input icon, input field, so this is a focus. So whenever come out of this means I'm just take out the focus from this one is called blur. So I've just blur this input field. So on the time I want to trigger the same function. Blur. So the same validate name function. See, observe. First time loads, no issue. Whenever I touch, whenever I leaves, it will throw error. Okay? Because the name should not be empty. You touch the field, definitely need to fill the valid data. Otherwise, it will throw errors. Understood now? Okay. So I attached two events for this input field. Okay, name value input field. So remaining, you have to do the same validation for all the 5 fields. Understood? So do it, can come tomorrow. Okay, so we will discuss regex first. Okay, first I will explain the basics of regex and how to create a regex pattern. Okay, 2 minutes wait for. Okay, so I will create a regex patterns. Okay, so once if I create a regex patterns, okay, next we will going to do validation for this input fields using regex. Okay, so that will fine enough for you. So it will complete form validation. Understood? Online, any doubts?
Okay, sir. Yeah, understood.
Okay, so see you tomorrow. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Yeah,
Like negation, so
call stack. So most important thing, so this is the place where our code is going to execute. So like execution context, so this is the place where our code is going to execute. Understood? So whatever the code, JavaScript code, you're gonna write it written inside a VS code, right? So that code is going to be executed inside this place only. We called call stack. So that's it, guys. JavaScript is that's it. It's called JavaScript. That's all. Nothing else. So that's the reason I told you in the beginning. JavaScript is a synchronous language. recalled as